Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, today's question comes from a mom, and she wants to know, how do I get my kids to do their chores? I ask them again and again, and they never respond. They just ignore me. How do I get them to do their chores? Okay, that's an awesome question, and this is a question that could be answered a variety of different ways. It's going to depend on your parenting skills. It's going to depend on how well your child understands the chore and their ability to do that chore. Now, I want to go back a little bit. I want to tell you a story about when I was growing up. I'm from a very large family. There are 19 kids in my family, and I am the fourth to the oldest. So there were lots of opportunities for us to help around the house. Now, in order for us to understand what our chores were, our parents actually walked us around the house and they would show us, this is the living room. When we ask you to clean the living room, here's what we expect you to do. And they took all of us kids at once because we were at all different age levels. It was important that even at the different age levels, we all understood what we were capable of doing. And our parents only gave us chores that we were capable of doing. And so they would explain, when we ask you to clean the room, it means pick up all of these toys. It means remove all of these clothes. It means pick up the stuff that's underneath the couches and the chairs so that there's nothing that you can see with the eye anywhere. And then my dad would actually walk along all of the door jambs and he would run his fingers across the top and he would show us if there was any dust. He says, when I inspect this room, I will do this same test. And so he showed us exactly what he would be checking on. Then he would assign us these jobs, and we had a job chart. And you can have a job chart for your kids. They're easy to make, and it's going to depend on what the chores are in your house. But pick chores that are easy for your kids to do so that your kids feel a sense of success at it. In my family, we had a job chart that rotated every week. So every week we would be responsible for a different room of the house. That way you don't get bored and it doesn't become monotonous, but every time you walk through that room, you get to pick up your room. Now, my dad would do inspections twice a day, and it was usually once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and he could do them at any time. But he would grab this clipboard and he would go through the different rooms of the house, and we would spread the word real fast, like, hey, Dad's got the clipboard, he's doing inspections right now. And then we would race to hurry and tidy up our rooms before he came through to do the inspection. When he came through to do the inspection, he would do the same inspection that he showed us when he showed us how to clean that room. So again, he would run his fingers over the top of the door jambs and over the top of the window seals and things like that so that we knew what he was inspecting. Then, because our name was on the job chart for that room, if the room did not pass his inspection, he would give us a little check mark, which he called a gig. And I think he gets that from his Army background. Okay, so there's a gig. If you get 3 gigs, there's a punishment. So whatever you did not want to get a gig. And the punishments were all chores related. And so he had 6 punishments and he would roll a dice. And 5 of the punishments included jobs. And the 6th was a lucky 6 where you got off scot-free with no punishment at all. So it became kind of a game. Like, let's say that somebody in our family would get 3 gigs. Then we'd say, hey, so-and-so got 3 gigs. Come, we're going to roll the dice. Everyone would come in the family room and we would roll the dice and see what kind of a punishment they were going to get. Because there were so many kids in our family, we used cloth diapers and we had buckets of poopy diapers. So one of the punishments was that you had to wash out the bucket of poopy diapers. We also had a garden. And because we had a garden, there were a lot of rocks and things that were in the ground that would ruin the rototiller blades. And so you had to get big 5-gallon buckets and go outside and pick rocks out of the garden. That was one of the punishments. Another one of the punishments was KP duty or kitchen duty, where you had to stand there with the person who was in charge of washing the dishes that night and you had to help. Because in our family, there were always lots and lots of dishes. And so it was a huge chore, but it was guaranteed that every night somebody would be on kitchen duty because they would have to roll the dice, right? So all of the punishments were chores related, but what that taught us was this. It taught us that we had to have a project done. We had to do it on time. There were expectations that need to be met. there would be an inspection and there would be consequences. And so we learned all of these little things just from doing daily chores. So it's very easy to hire a house cleaner and just to ignore the fact that your kids have no idea how to do chores around your house. But the important thing is that you teach your children how to do the household chores. Now, it's no surprise that in my family, 6 of the 7 girls went off to start their own house cleaning companies. And there's a reason for that. It's a certain set of skills that we had acquired from a life of having job inspections. Every single day we had job inspections, and every single day we had chores. And so that taught us responsibility. And it also taught us to clean up after ourselves. And again, it taught us every time you go through that room, if you are responsible for that room for that week, it's a constant process. Every single time you go through that room, you're picking up and tidying up and putting things away and straightening up and making sure things are dusted and it looks nice. It's a bite-sized activity. You don't have to clean the whole house, but you clean that one room. And if everybody in your house were just in charge of one room and they kept it tidy, your house would be clean. And so it's how fun can you make this for your kids? How regular can you inspect the jobs? Because if there's no inspection, there's no measuring of the results. And so if you're just saying, hey, go clean your room, what does that mean? To a lot of kids, that doesn't mean anything. They don't know what the specifics are. Does that mean that there is nothing on the desk except the computer and perhaps a stapler? Is that what that means? When you say make your bed, does that mean that you're going to flip a quarter on the bed and if it doesn't bounce, the bed is not made well enough? What does that mean? It's going to mean something for every different family depending on what your expectations are. But if the kids don't know what the expectations are and they don't know that you're going to run your hand over the tops of the doors looking for dust, if they don't know what that means, they're never going to clean on top of the doors. And so when you just say, go clean your room, it doesn't mean anything unless you have explained to them the rules of engagement. And once you have explained those rules of engagement, and there's a deadline, I'll be coming through twice a day to do inspections, and there's follow through on that, and there are consequences, there's no incentive whatsoever for your kids to help out. Now, on the other side of incentive, if they pass every single day, there should be some kind of a reward, whether that's an allowance, whether that's getting them something special that they wanted, a pencil bag or a ring, or I don't know what kids are motivated by, but something simple that's inexpensive, that's a goal point to get them from here to there. Now, there are ways of punishing. And like I said, our punishments were related to chores. The really, really big punishments were necessities of life. I remember one time I was misbehaving and I did not do my chores. I was just being rebellious. And my dad said, okay, well, you don't get to go to bed tonight until this is done. And I refused to do it. Okay, great. I'll just stay up all night. And I did. He made me stay awake. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning and I was so dead tired and I was being so rebellious and I was so insistent on not doing the chore and staying up all night. But my dad stayed up all night with me and he insisted that I stay awake. And when I got so incredibly tired and I realized he wasn't messing around and that I wasn't going to get to go to bed until I did that chore, in a really sloppy manner, I went ahead and I did that chore just so I could go to bed that night. And my dad taught me a really interesting lesson. When I finally went to bed, he said, I'm going to let you go to bed now. And when you get up tomorrow, I want you to do this job like you've never done it before. And I promised the sun, the stars, the earth, and the moon just so I could go to bed that night. Okay? It didn't cost him anything to make me stay up all night, except it cost him a night of sleep. But it taught me a life lesson I will never forget. So there are ways you can punish kids that are kind. You're not abusing them, making them stay up all night. It's not abuse. No one can call social services on you, whatever. But you can teach your kids lessons that will last them for the rest of their lives. So how do you get your kids to do the jobs? Mom, it's up to you. You get to do whatever it is you want to do. You're the mom. You get to set the rules for your house. But there are ways to get your kids to do the chores that are effective and efficient and will last them and serve them their entire lives. Alrighty, so that's my 2 cents. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.